Well, I just wanted to tell you all what happened to me at the car wash the other day, just for entertainment purposes, and to say that we all do, including me, need to be a little kinder to people in the world. And this was one of the car washes where you pay as you're going in the car wash. They're a little automated box. You can put in your debit card or credit card and pick out what kind of wash you want. You drive around, and then it's the car wash where the little attendant waves you in, and then you get your tire aligned on the rack so that then you can be catapulted through the car wash. Well, I didn't make the best decision before I went into this car wash. I normally pride myself on being able to align my wheel perfectly every time on the rack at the car wash. And also, anytime I go get my oil changed and you have to pull your car up at a instant oil change business, I pride myself on being able to nail that as well. I do a lot of things wrong, but I think I do a pretty good job at aligning my vehicle where it needs to go. And I can also parallel park. It might take me 2 tries, but I can normally get that down too, just so you all know that I'm not completely inept in that area. So I had my daughter with me on this particular day, and I was pulling in to pay for the car wash that I was selecting for my vehicle that day, which we're going through, and I went to put my debit card in when my cell phone rang. And I looked down at my cell phone, and at that moment I had a decision to make, knowing I was getting ready to pull into the car wash. It would be loud in the car wash, and this probably wasn't the best time for me to take a phone call. But in my rationing, the phone call was from a family member of mine. And I knew that that family member in a couple of days was going to need my assistance. And so I wanted to be available, if nothing more, to say, I'm pulling into the car wash. I haven't forgotten about you. So I answer the phone. I tell the family member, as I'm paying for my car wash, I'm going through the car wash, and family member says, oh, that's perfectly fine. This won't take long. So now, as I'm pulling around and I've paid and I'm on my phone, my daughter's in the car with me, the attendant starts to wave me forward. And on this particular day, I could not get my wheel aligned. I pull in, and as I'm pulling in, this man clearly is not happy with me. He starts pointing his finger and gritting his teeth this way, this way. So I turn my wheel the way he wants me to, and he's still doing this when I think maybe I've gone enough whichever direction I'm supposed to go, and I start to straighten my wheel back up, and he is just livid with me, and he starts, no, and he goes like this, no, don't straighten, go this way. Well, I've never had anybody act quite so aggressive at the car wash, so I freeze, and he is clearly exasperated with me, and with that, he goes, stop. So I stop, turning my wheel, I have my brake on, and he starts motioning at me aggressively, back up, back up. So now I'm a little freaked out. I'm thinking, well, I have just ruined a multi-million-dollar car wash rack. So I start to back up, and I'm backing up. Now, the whole time I'm on the phone with my family member. And with that, I get so freaked out that I have to back up, and then I may have, have to pay some sort of insurance policy to get this car wash fixed. I throw my phone to my daughter in the car, and I'm like, talk to family member, tell family member I'm stuck in the car wash. So she's doing her job. I back up, and this gentleman comes walking out to my car, and I roll down my window, and lucky for me, he stopped short of getting into my space. And he says to me, you keep your eyes on me. He said, you need to watch me. Okay. And with that, I roll my window back up. He stomps back over to his spot and starts to wave me in again, and then aggressively pointing whichever way I'm supposed to put my wheel, and I get my wheel aligned. So now we're good. However, in this little debacle that doesn't seem like very much, I hear my daughter say, I'm scared. She said, I'm scared. He has scared me. I don't want to be here. So now we've actually gotten into the car wash. This man has moved on. Our little cycle is beginning to start. She hands me the phone back from the family member I've been talking to. Family member and I quickly start to wrap up our conversation because clearly now she understands that things have not gone well for me at the car wash. And we get off the phone. But I need to tell you that I can take in all of that, except that when my daughter said, I'm scared, and she even said it more than once of this man at the car wash, I was not happy about that. I thought he acted very aggressively. And so I started to go into a really ugly, dark place in my brain because this man, unbeknownst to him, has now opened and unlocked the door of my brain that is the mafia section. You know, the part of my brain that binged watched actually the very popular HBO series, The Sopranos. You know, Tony Soprano, where I secretly dreamed during binge watching that I was Tony Soprano's wife and that Tony Soprano would not put up with such an attendant not being very kind to his lovely spouse. And you know, during my dreaming section, I was wearing a full-length faux mink coat, you know, faux because of the animals, into a very high, established, delicious Italian spaghetti restaurant where they make their own pasta, where I would sit with my husband, Tony Soprano, and drink fine red wine with my delicious spaghetti. Although some red wine hurts my belly, so it'd probably be a high-end, delicious grape that has not been fermented in my glass. And there we go. And then I start to come out of the fog, and I realize that lucky for me and the man car wash, that I have the ability to close and lock the part of my brain that doesn't like people yelling at me. So I close and I lock it, and this is what I have summed up. Perhaps I was, in this man's defense, the 10th faux blonde woman, middle-aged, on her cell phone, coming through the car wash that could not get her tire aligned. And I know what he saw from his end, this very thing. Blonde hair, on her cell phone, doesn't think I'm paying attention, doesn't know that I'm talking to a family member on the other end, and have made in that split-second decision-making moment before I actually started to pull in, that I took the call from said family member. So I guess the moral of the story is that I need to be a little bit nicer and kinder to the man directing me in and not take a phone call as I'm pulling into the car wash as not to damage any equipment, which I don't think I did, by the way. I think this man was just extremely annoyed with me. But having said that, I think the attendant needs to understand that though I am a middle-aged blonde woman and I did not make the perfect decision about answering my phone right before I went through the car wash, that I do have a young person in the car with me. And so therefore aggressive behavior towards me by myself wouldn't have been that great. But when you have a young person in the car or small children in the car, I think we need to be a little kinder because we don't know what the person in the car is going through at that moment. And if they're talking to a said family member. So try not to get on your cell phone when you go through the car wash. And if you work at a car wash, try to be a little bit nicer to the person in the car. But have no idea how their day is going either. And maybe we all just need to be a little bit kinder to each other. And so the moral of the story is, be careful when you go through the car wash. Have a great day. Bye.